This is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. Trust me, I'm like a smart person. I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius. I had the best words. Tolerated. I know words. Mike Pounds. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation. But there's no better word than stupid. And anomalous, really anomalous. I'm very highly educated. One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. Had the best words. God bless the United States.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
The Wokers.
Nation, Walmart Nation. What's up, everybody? It's Monday. Welcome to the show. Brand new week. The same old, nutty things. So, yes, we have more insanity, of course. Right-wingers. You're going to enjoy the fun first story, though. Donald Trump speaking at Diamond's funeral. So I know, look, but I don't know. Okay. Normally, speaking at a funeral, not a fun story. Usually, of course, somebody has to die for you to get to that point. And that sucks. But with everything that Donald Trump does, it ends up getting super awkward and he makes it about himself. So, yeah, it's just, insanity as usual. You're going to enjoy that story, though. And then we have one of the MAGA rioters getting sentenced. Fun. We have conservatives actually winning one of the culture war issues against M&Ms. Interesting. The victory here. And then we're going to go into, of course, Oklahoma banning clowns. I'm not kidding. Banning clowns. So, effectively, or trying to at least. Again, there's insanity here. Not in the control room today. Well, okay, maybe there is.
There's insanity in the control room.
But we also have insanity in the news. So why don't we get to it? Before we do, like and share the stream. And with that, let's do it. It's Monday. And trust me, I can feel the Mondayness today. Either that or I might be starting to feel under the weather. I don't know. But let's do it. Ooh. Following the unexpected and tragic passing of Lynette Diamond Hardaway, that's one half of the Diamond and Silk duo. Look, even though I didn't agree with their politics, apparently they were very, very entertaining to people. And again, it's a tragedy. She passed away from, again, I don't know what she passed away from, but nonetheless, big loss to the conservative community and plenty of their fans. So now that happened earlier this month. So now former President Donald Trump was asked, I would assume, asked to come and deliver some remarks to this televised event. A little strange that it was televised, but okay. I guess she was, after all, a public figure. That said, he gives a eulogy, and it gets a little awkward.
I'm serious. I thought I knew them both. I didn't. I knew I knew diamond, but I didn't know silk at all. I just learned about silk. You're fantastic. You're going to carry on beyond anybody's wildest imagination.
I just learned about silk. Did you know that there were actually two of them? One was diamond and the other was silk. Oh, I didn't know silk. I thought I knew that. I didn't know them though. I just learned about her. Really? You just learned about her. That's, I don't know, that's a little strange here, considering there's obviously both of them there. You know? Both diamond and silk. There's more. It's when they literally went to the White House. Right there. I mean, they were there during speeches, events with him. I just learned about, so let me tell you, tremendous person. What a fantastic person. I just learned about her. I just learned that silk existed. Did you think they were the same person at some point? Now again, if the pictures had not existed, you could say something like, well, maybe he thought they were the same person and couldn't tell the difference between either of them. He is that kind of guy. But as I've showed you, he has met both of them before in the same room together. How did you not know? How did you not know? Now, look. Embarrassing. Super embarrassing. Imagine meeting Trump many, many times. And then him being like, I never knew this person. Wow. I never knew them. Really? Really? I used to think that was an excuse for people he wanted to distance himself from. Like, Michael Cohen, just a coffee boy, barely knew him. Again, that's the excuse that we hear over and over and over and over again. But maybe it's because his brain doesn't work. Like it's pretty much melted, you know?
Person, woman, man, camera, TV. I'm cognitively there.
No, he obviously is not. Wow. That's just embarrassing. And look, imagine, if that's not embarrassing enough, imagine being this guy's fan. Like a loyal fan of Donald Trump. Embarrassing. Oh, but you know what? It gets even worse. Take a look.
Please know that we share in your grief. That's why you have such an incredible crowd of people. I said, let's pick a big place. I don't care. Don't worry about it. Just pick a big place. Because the chapel wouldn't have held the kind of people, the number of people that we have. And we're doing it right, and that's the way it should be. And I did notice a big line of very, very nice vehicles outside. That's going to be handled properly, right? So we're going to handle it properly. Go out in style. She knew that. Go out in style thing. And I don't believe, they told me, I said, give me a little time, because I have a lot of people waiting for me back in a place called Palm Beach, Florida. They said, give me a little time. What do you think it'll take? Oh, about 15, 20 minutes, sir, in and out. I said, well, it can take longer. This is a little longer than 15 minutes, right?
Like she was going to go out in style. We were talking about it. It's such nice cars, fancy. It's a huge venue. Probably because I was, going to be there. And then, even though I was there, I said it was going to be like there for 15, 20 minutes. And then I just, oh man. Did you know that funerals take a long time? Yes. They do. It's a funeral service. Obviously, it's going to take a while. It's amazing. Yeah, and as one of you points out in the chat, I think he was bragging that he was there after the 15 minutes was over. No, look, I said, I was thinking that, he agreed to speak, which is why he could not leave when he realized it was going to take a while. I don't think you should get any credit for that. But look, I can guarantee you, though, probably throughout the whole thing, the guy was like truthing, like getting on his little social, like his phone. That's if he was even allowed to use it, by. Does he still have handlers? I have no idea. No idea. But I could guarantee that this guy was sitting there, he's like, oh my God, why is this taking so long? Oh, funeral. Oh, now I gotta listen to stories about this person. I don't even know who this person is. Why do I gotta sit here the whole time? Embarrassing. Super embarrassing. But one more video here. You see, he was bored, so he decided that during his speech, that is about Diamond, he's going to make it about the election.
How do we stop the cheating? How do we stop it where you get more votes but you still don't win? And the answer is the Republicans have to get tougher. The top people have to get tougher. And you have to really swamp them. There's a level at which even they can't produce. And so if you win big enough, you're going to get there. And then once we're there, we're going to straighten it all out and get it back to where it was. But
why are you talking about the election at a funeral? At a time where you're supposed to be eulogizing. I understand, like, okay, there's they knew each other because of politics, but holy crap, getting into the basically standard Trump grievance rally speech at this is just, completely beyond the pale. A political rally speech at a funeral. And look, he also, by the way, railed about inflation and gas prices, among other political topics. Only this guy, a just narcissist, could make a funeral service not only super awkward, but apparently about himself. It's amazing level of disrespect here that we've seen. Just absolutely amazing. But also more amazing is the fact that nobody seemed to mind. You get clapping. Oh, yes, Brett. Yeah, a perfect time to bring up the fact that you won your election. Oh, yes, Donald Trump. Absolutely. Great timing. Great, wonderful speech. I am so inspired. At this funeral. Dude. I don't know, maybe it's like, it's Trump being Trump. This is what we invited him for. Who knows? They probably kissed his ass for showing up, obviously, or else he probably wouldn't show up. So I guess there's that. It's always the part of, the cult of Trump. Once again, showing exactly, what they're about. And Trump showing exactly what he's about himself. Amazing. They had a please clap sign at the funeral. Oh, is that what it is?
Please clap.
Okay. Oh, God. Chris Green says, thank you for dying so that I have an opportunity to talk about the stolen election. Okay. Well, let's go from awkward and stupid to just stupid. The MAGA rioter behind this infamous photo, you remember him, resting on former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's desk. Well, he was in court earlier, and, he had some regrets. Just a few. Now, that man's name is Richard Bigo Barnett, Bigo being, I guess, a nickname. And last week, he had told jurors that he had made a mistake, or, about 8 of them. Some of the ones that he admitted to was saying, I shouldn't have put my feet on the desk. Oh, no, that's the least of what you shouldn't have done. He said at the time, I thought it was funny. Because breaking and entering, that's so absolutely hilarious.
You idiot.
All right. But look, what was inadvertently hilarious is the fact that he not only has that famous picture taken because somebody there took the picture, which made it very, very easy to arrest him. Again, we're not dealing with the most intelligent people here.
Stupid.
But he also left a note for Nancy Pelosi that read, in part, "Hey, Nancy, Bigo was here. Biatch." All right. Look, I'm not a fan of Nancy Pelosi. I think it might be. I've talked about it before. Trading stocks, not being as progressive or progressive at all on things like healthcare policy, etc., kneecapping progressives in the House. All that stuff aside, I don't think people should have been breaking into her office, or as some of the other rioters were actually planning to do, to try to take her hostage or do a physical harm. No, that's unacceptable. All of that is unacceptable, right? And you could not be a fan of Nancy Pelosi and condemn what these people did. It's a fairly simple thing. What he did was wrong, but also very stupid. And of course, if you're going to pose for, if you're also going to pose for a picture and sign your nickname and leave it on her desk, with your handwriting and your DNA all over it, well, that's also stupid. It's all stupid. Dumbass. Idiot. Just criming in public. I mean, it's a very special kind of idiot that does this. And of course, January 6th was filled with idiots. That's how they all got caught. But it gets funnier, though. You see, a lot of these MAGA chuds claim to love the Constitution. They do. Oh, the Constitution. Oh, I love the Constitution so much. That's right. Well, apparently, they don't seem to know much about it, at least when they were asked. This is according to CBS News' Scott MacFarlane, who had covered this court appearance, the sentencing hearing. And so during one exchange that was detailed, he was grilled about his knowledge of the Constitution. Here's a little back and forth. Quote, "You love the Constitution?" This is the prosecutor asking him. Barnett responded, "Love it. Oh, love that Constitution." First Amendment? Yes. Love it. Second Amendment? Obviously, massively in favor of that one. Oh, God, love it. Yeah, Second Amendment is my favorite amendment. Prosecutor then asked, "Love the Third Amendment?" Barnett said, "Yes." Prosecutor asked, "Okay, what's the Third Amendment?" What is it? I don't know. Oh, you love it, but you don't know. You don't know what it is. Oh, it's great. Now, the Third Amendment basically bars soldiers from being quartered in your house against your approval, right? So, yeah, that was something that happened, back in the day. The colonists were not happy with, and so the founders made sure to include this into the Bill of Rights, that you don't have to quarter troops in your house. Hey, now look, I love it. I wouldn't want to quarter troops in my house. I'm pretty sure this guy also wouldn't want to. So yes, of course he loves it. He just doesn't know that he loves it because he doesn't know what it is. The funny thing is, look, there's a joke. It's not really a joke. It's more of a truism where, a lot of lefties, we say like, well, they pretty much only know the First and Second Amendment. That's all the ones that they can care for. They don't count past those two, okay? To them, the Bill of Rights is only the First and Second Amendment, and they barely even understand both of those. Well, it turns out that is absolutely true. And now, again, as Bloom 85 says, I don't think the average American could define every amendment. Hey, look, that's fair. But when you claim to be someone who knows and loves the Constitution, you should at least know the Bill of Rights in the Constitution. We're not talking about getting into, Amendment 3, Section 2, or whatever, subsection, paragraph 4. No, we're not talking about that. Because there are definitely multiple subsections of different amendments that you could discuss. And it's not just one thing. Like there are different facets to free speech, for example. And then, of course, there's the different facets to the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, which includes, the thing that conservatives tend to ignore was the well-regulated militia. But that gets to the point of where they only know the parts of them. And I've noticed that it's the same phenomenon when it comes to the Bible. Oh, I love the Bible. Oh, what? I'm a huge Christian. Oh, I love the Bible. Yeah, love it. Have you ever read it? No, not really. Oh, can you tell me, where it says abortion is bad in the Bible, for example? Well, it's in there somewhere. No, it's not. Actually, in the Bible, it teaches you how to induce an abortion. Tells you how to make a mixture that will induce an abortion. If that child, of course, is not the husband's. If she has been, the wife has been, unfaithful. That kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah, those are things in there if you actually take the time to read it. By the way, oftentimes, and it's not all the time, but I've noticed that fairly often it tends to be that the more you read the Bible, the more that it makes you a non-believer in the Bible, that you don't necessarily believe that the, Bible is written by God. That doesn't mean necessarily that you will not believe in God, but you will look at the Bible as more of a, book of parables and, lessons, but not, and maybe divine inspiration, perhaps, but not written by the literal hand of God. So, and you also, the similar thing happens when you read the Constitution, and you think, well, obviously the framers came up with some really, really good ideas, interesting ideas for democracy and things like that, but it's not a perfect document. And by the way, the fact that it's not a perfect document isn't a slight against the Constitution. The fact that the framers said that they admitted themselves that it wasn't a perfect document, and they did that by allowing a process for you to change or amend that document to make it better. So that's really the whole point, okay, of that. So that said, these are the same people who turn into constitutional scholars every time you disagree with them on social media. So now they are complete and utter clowns, ridiculous people. Just like this guy. Now, good news. Barnett was found guilty on Monday of all 8 counts. You know how long it took him? Less than 2 hours of deliberation. Lightning speed in the court. So, look, he was again found guilty on all 8 counts, including the 4 felonies. The most serious charge, obstructing an official government proceeding, carries a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison. Of course, he's not going to get that. No, federal sentencing guidelines are going to most likely recommend a shorter sentence to that. But seriously, he's in trouble. Apparently his, excuses being that I was just having fun. And I don't know it was bad. And, you know, I could have called Nancy Pelosi something worse, but I didn't. Yeah, not exactly convincing to the jury. What are you going to do?
Stupid.
All right. Moving on, let's go to M&M's. Noah and not I cannot say that name, but I'm familiar with what you're talking about, SM85. Flood myth, the flood story is actually there's a lot of different cultures that have the same kind of flood story as Noah, so that's kind of fascinating when you look at it like that, when you realize that, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. That is very interesting. Okay. We got M&M's. Delicious candies. Okay. Let me just say.
It's not a salami sandwich.
Okay. I don't know why I felt like doing that. Conservatives have won the war against M&Ms. That's right. And what was the result of one of the dumber parts of last year's culture war discourse? M&M/Mars has announced that they are dropping their spokes candies. This is after conservative backlash from Fox News and commentators had, apparently is scared them into not wanting to make changes to M&Ms. So look, number one, this story is frustrating because it means absolutely nothing. They're M&Ms. They're candies. Who cares? Right? But the right wing got triggered. And so they spent countless hours talking about anthropomorphic candies. And so the company was just forced to get rid of them altogether. So let me give you the details, right? Back in January 2022, Mars Inc. announced that they were restyling the M&M's logo and the looks for their spokes candies. Mostly changes for their shoes and to be more inclusive, as well as giving the female green and brown characters more prominent placement to achieve a little bit more gender balance. Now, this is something that nobody asked for. Nobody on the left was clamoring for M&M's to just do a different marketing campaign. But like the left kind of, just kind of left it at that because it's like, okay, we didn't ask for it, but who cares? It doesn't really matter. It's just candy. But the right wing found this out and they went absolutely apeshit. Here's some of the examples.
M&M's, the candy company, has just announced that it's redesigning its cartoon characters to be more gender inclusive. The green M&M, you will notice, is no longer wearing sexy boots. Now she's wearing sensible sneakers. The other big change is that the brown M&M has, quote, transitioned from high stilettos to lower block heels. Also less sexy. That's progress. M&M's will not be satisfied until every last cartoon character is deeply unappealing and totally androgynous. Until the moment you wouldn't want to have a drink with any one of them. That's the goal. When you're totally turned off, we've achieved equity. They've won.
So women, do you feel represented now because of the green, purple, and brown M&Ms on the M&M package that you're guzzling down lonely in your apartment with your wine and your cat?
If this is what you need for validation, an M&M that is a color that you think is associated with feminism, then I'm worried about you. I think this is the kind of thing that makes China say, like, oh, good, keep focusing on that. Yeah. Keep focusing on giving people their own color M&Ms while we, take over all of the mineral deposits in the entire world.
We go from sexy M&Ms, or I should say the M&Ms are not sexy enough. Frumpy frumpy non-binary candy. I just don't know what I'm going to do with myself, Tucker Carlson says. What am I going to do on a Friday night with a bag of M&Ms? I mean, I can't do what I usually do. And you don't really want to know what he would usually do based on that response. And then going to, changing the M&Ms. China would love it. Nobody cared. This is a corporation that was trying to make money. That's all they're trying to do. That's all corporations are supposed to do. And yeah, I guess, if you want to make more money, you should appeal to more people. It's literal capitalism. That's it. It's literally capitalism. Are you against capitalism? Fox News guys and gals? But look, as hilarious as it is that Tucker Carlson got mad that he couldn't get a boner from eating green M&Ms anymore, they decided to change it. On Monday, the official M&M's Twitter account posted a message to America announcing the end of their spokes candies. He said in the last year, the message said, "We made some changes to our beloved spokes candies. We weren't sure if anyone would even notice, and we definitely didn't think it would break the internet." Yeah, it didn't break the internet. Like a handful of conservative people were outraged, and then people like myself then jumped on the right wing to make fun of them for getting triggered over a candy. That's basically the extent of the outrage here. Then again, you can look at Tucker Carlson, where he has the largest show on Fox News. Largest political show, I should say, on Fox News, reaches millions of people. They continue. But now we get it. Even a candy's shoes can be polarizing, which was the last thing that M&M's wanted, since we're all about bringing people together. No, you just want to sell things. That's it. It's literal capitalism. Actually, you know what? I'm going to tell you about the real reasons that they try to do these changes. Okay? But first, rest of the message. Therefore, we've decided to take an indefinite pause from the spokes candies, announcing that they would be replaced by a spokesperson America could agree on, the beloved Maya Rudolph, who they described as being able to champion the power of fun to create a world where everyone feels like they belong. Look, I don't care who's doing candy commercials, okay? It doesn't really matter to me. But let me tell you the real reason they did the changes, okay? Mars Corporation, you might not have heard this, especially if you watch Fox News, because in none of the coverage about the candy did they mention that Mars Corporation was sued for child slavery back in 2021. Oh, yeah, the whole child slavery thing. That's right. They were sued, class action lawsuit, by 8 former child slaves who said that they were forced to work without pay, obviously, on cocoa plantations in the Ivory Coast, which produces about 45% of the global supply of cocoa. I think somewhere around 85% of the cocoa comes from Africa, most of it going to the United States. So this actually went to the Supreme Court. And 8-1, the court ruled against child slaves. That's right. They said, well, we can't rule on your behalf because you don't have any standing in U.S. court. It's a U.S. corporation, sure. But, it's not actually a U.S. corporation. It's a multinational corporation, and therefore, we can't do anything. There are no laws to police these multinational corporations. And since it happened in another country, you can't do anything. Sorry, child slaves. Now, the majority opinion was written by Justice Clarence Thomas, by the way. So yeah, what better way to hide the news, that you were sued for child slavery, than to do some marketing changes aimed at being more gender inclusive. And of course, when you do that, you piss off conservatives. Far more than when they did child slavery. Because you didn't see conservatives talking about that. Oh, did you know M&Ms and Mars did child slavery? Oh, horrible. We care so much about the children. No, you don't. No, the only thing you cared about is no more sexy green M&M. And so, look, the company, I'm pretty sure the company loved this news cycle. Yes, conservatives got mad at them, but at least they didn't have to talk about child slavery anymore. That's right. That's right. And so, you know, they take advantage of the news cycle. They're happy that they get to ignore that other thing. And, you know, now they get Maya Rudolph. And nothing against her, of course. In fact, I actually really enjoyed her Kamala Harris impression during SNL. But anyway, here's the thing about M&M's and Mars and these giant multinational corporations. Why don't they just stop being terrible? That's it. I mean, stop using exploitation to make a profit. I know. Then they would lose out on profit, of course. Just a thought. But look, in this way, though, conservative freakout, they help people forget about this or never hear about it. I don't know how many people didn't hear about being sued for child slavery. But now the right wing can take a victory from this. They can say, oh, you know what? We beat them. We beat the
wokers.
And their woke candy. We beat the left. We beat the left. Who never asked for these changes in the first place. The only thing the left was asking for is stop using child slaves. Stop exploiting people, human beings, for profit. Stop it. But no, this is, again, spun for a victory for the right wing against wokeness. And that's, unfortunately, the state of discourse in America. Yeah. All right. Anyway. M&M, Mars stock price is up. Yep. Not a surprise. Not a surprise.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
Okay. Yeah, take that, you wokers.
The wokers.
Okay, well, let's move on. All right. The Florida Department of Education has continued its war on education by banning an AP African American history class. Okay, let me give you some details. So now, Governor Ron DeSantis has been using his position in order to get rid of things, topics in education that he does not like. He doesn't like them being taught in school. He doesn't like racism being taught in school. No, he thinks it's woke.
The wokers.
That's right. He's warring against the wokers. And so he recently admitted, or I should say the Florida Department of Education has admitted, that they banned this class because they didn't want to encourage people into doing activism. Imagine that being the worst thing in the world for them. Oh my God, can you imagine young people doing activism against racism? Oh, I can't have that. According to a document sent to the Daily Beast, the department says that it banned AP African American history because it teaches students about activism, intersectionality, and encourages ending the war on Black, trans, queer, gender nonconforming, and intersex people. I look at that and I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. I would like to end the war on those people. That would be a good thing. That would mean that they would be treated fairly and equally, and we should want that as a country. But no, the Florida Department of Education, Ron DeSantis, they're like, what do you mean end the war on them? No. We want to keep going to war on them. We want to war against them more. That's what they're saying. They're admitting also that if they didn't, if young people were permitted to learn about the actual history and injustices dealt with by black people in this country, that there are other people, white people specifically, when they learn about this, would want to prevent that from happening again, would become allies and say, you know what, that was a horrible thing that happened in the past. We want to make sure that stuff like that doesn't happen again. And by the way, to end the injustices that are still happening today. Florida looks at that, the government, and says, oh God, no, we can't have it. No.
Oh, no.
Well, we just got to shut that whole thing down, you know? Look, the far right, they know this, which is why they desperately want to ban knowledge. They just want to ban knowledge. That's it. Now, when you start banning things, especially books and knowledge, what does that make you? It makes you the baddies. They're the baddies, and they're admitting that, yes, we are the baddies. It's true, though.
Oh, my God. He admitted.
So, look, Governor Ron DeSantis had rejected a request from the College Board to provide the class in high school in the state last Wednesday. Move came during the same week he had requested info on transgender students from universities statewide. Now, wait a minute. You want a list. The governor wants a list of all the transgender people in Florida. Why? Why would you want it? Isn't that big government? You're making a list. Imagine if they made a list, or somebody tried to make a list of gun owners in the state. Can you imagine how many people would, I don't know, their hair would catch on fire. They would implode. Oh, government tyranny! Burn it up! I'm gonna water the tree of liberty with blood. Trying to make a list of transgender students in the state to do God knows what to them. Because again, we're talking about Ron DeSantis here. Nobody bats an eye. They're like, oh yeah, totally, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be for any good reasons. That's for sure. Now, his administration then went on to admit that they had prohibited this class because it involves black queer studies and claims that it's a violation of the state law. What are we going to do? It violates the state law that we came up with in past. Oh, is that's the criteria? Okay, sure. A representative for DeSantis said the now banned class, quote, lacked educational value and historical accuracy. Really? Historical accuracy? Did he have any evidence of that? No. They couldn't point out how it, was inaccurate. And furthermore, the document admonished the teachings of intersectionality, claiming that it was foundational to critical race theory, again, without explaining how. It just does, okay? It just does. It's bad, okay? It's intersectional critical race theory. How many more buzzwords do I got to put in here, okay? Just bad. I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. It gives me feelings. And I don't like them. Facts don't care about your feelings, dude. But apparently when you're, the government in Florida, doesn't matter. You can do whatever the hell you want. Apparently. Now, the department also takes issue with topics advocating for reparations, a movement with the goal of helping recipients overcome generations of human rights violations. Even if you're not on the side of reparations, isn't it a terrible look for the discussion itself, the rationale and reasonings behind it, to not be discussed, to not even have a conversation about it? Because I think there's a very interesting conversation with good points for and against that you could have. But what they're doing is that they're just shutting down the conversation completely. No, we're not going to allow we're not going to allow the side for reparations to even make an argument. Why, are you afraid of the argument? Are you afraid that they're going to make some devastatingly good points in favor of it? And they're going to point out how there is that system of racism that had been perpetuated throughout the decades, ever since Jim Crow. Are you afraid that argument is going to sway people into being in favor of it? Yes. Yes, they're afraid of it. Exactly. Again, that's why you have to ban knowledge, because you're afraid of that knowledge. And you're afraid that people are going to see it and go, oh, well, that makes sense, actually. Now, maybe we should do something about it. The document said, quote, there's no critical, respective, or balancing opinion in the lesson. Well, then present one. You can present one. In fact, look, conservatives everywhere have already presented many different. And by the way, it's not just conservatives that have presented, a counterbalancing viewpoint on this issue. There's a lot of Democrats that have presented some, counter issues on that, or counter arguments on it as well. So again, it's the only reason these excuses are BS. The only reason you want to hide this information and not present it is because you don't have a good argument against it, or you just don't want people to learn about it. That's it. You want to hide this knowledge and this information. Okay. Now, the inclusion of acclaimed Arthur Bell Hooks in the topic Black feminist literary thought also cited as a problem. Apparently because she used a phrase that was very triggering to some people: white supremacist capitalist patriarchy. That exists, by the way. That is a thing. And you know what? As a white person, a white cis male, I realized that I'm also trapped in white supremacist capitalist patriarchy. Now, I also get benefits from it, for sure. But then there also is that trap. And look, why do you think young white men, especially now, are falling to depression, despair? There are values upheld by white supremacist capitalist patriarchy that are hard for current men to meet. And it's because, again, part of that, the capitalist part, makes it very difficult. For example, the men who are supposed to be expected to be breadwinners. They're also supposed to, not show any emotion, be stoic. Basically, that entire system of white supremacist capitalist patriarchy makes men, it basically dehumanizes not just women, massively women, of course, but also men, victims too. And of course, capitalism just grinds up everybody unless you're at the top. Grinds them up and spits them out. And again, you could go into a much, much more in-depth conversation, involving that. But they don't want to have that conversation because it's complicated. Also, there are people that benefit, obviously, like Ron DeSantis, from white supremacist capitalist patriarchy. So, that's it. The Department of Education says it's willing to reopen the discussion. Oh, good. Oh, okay, we're having a conversation here, right? Oh, but only if the College Board can provide a class that abides by their state law and is historically accurate. Although the department statement doesn't provide specific details on what the class teaches that is not historically accurate. Oh, I think I know. But let me get to the quote here. As presented, the content of this course is inexplicably contrary to Florida law and significantly lacks educational value. So what's going on here is this is an example of political correctness. Now, I thought the right wing is supposed to be against being politically correct. No, they're the ones who are doing the political correctness. This is evidence of it. The course itself is factually correct, but it's politically incorrect. Or I should say politically inconvenient for them. I.e., it makes certain political movements, right-wing political movements, look bad. And by the way, that's not to say that there isn't there hasn't traditionally been some issues on the left when it comes to intersectionality. I mean, look, one of the things that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wrote about in his letter from the Birmingham jail is about the white moderate, the one who claims to be an ally of Black liberation, but who is more invested in order, in upholding the order of things, than it is for radical movements like his. Martin Luther King Jr. was a radical socialist. But you don't hear about that. That's one of the issues on the left. Or the left has at the current liberal establishment when it comes to MLK Jr. And so that's one of the ways that they gloss right over it. That actual reality. And that they use a right-wing framing of it. That said, right? When it comes to the right wing, they just want to bury the whole thing, bury the entire history, and claim Martin Luther King Jr. was one of them, and claim that all this other stuff is just not factual or accurate or whatever. In reality, it is, and you're just afraid of what it's actually saying. That's why they hate it, and why they're ironically doing censorship in order to stop it, stop people from learning about it. Okay. Moving on. Let's go to the clowns. Florida PC police. True. Very, very true. Maintaining the status quo, says the Scorpion Dragon. Yes, talking about the white moderate? Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Last story of the day. Last week, Oklahoma Republicans introduced a bill that would essentially ban clowns. Inadvertently, of course, because they are clowns. Now, part of it included banning excessive makeup and wearing exaggerated costumes in public around children, specifically. So this is an example of one of the latest bills to work its way through state governments that are aimed at specifically trying to stop drag shows. Now, this bill specifically was authored by Republican State Representative Kevin West. Kevin West, in his bill, compares drag queens to essentially cabaret workers or topless dancers or strippers. Okay? So now, what's funny about this, and there's a lot, okay, just how completely ridiculous and clownish it is, the point of drag, a lot of it, is to wear excessive amounts of clothing. I mean, again, the costumes are excessive and flamboyant. That's kind of the point. The bill includes people who wear drag, along with artists who take part in so-called adult cabaret performances, who generally defines drag as a male or female performer, who adopts a flamboyant or parodic feminine persona with glamorous or exaggerated costumes and makeup. And goes on to suggest that a law banning this kind of performance suggest passing this law based on a performance taking place at a public property or location where an adult cabaret performance could be viewed by a person who is a minor. Any person found violating the law could be punished with imprisonment for a term no longer than 30 days and no longer than 2 years. The payment of a fine of no less than $500 and no more than $20,000 or both. That is insane. Do you know what this could apply to with how vague it is? Clowns. They would ban clowns. Clowns, I don't know if you know this, they adopt a persona with excessive costumes and excessive makeup and are to be viewed by minors. They would ban clowns. Now, there are some people out there that go, I don't have a problem with that. I hate clowns, skater clowns. Understandable, totally. I'm not exactly the biggest fan of clowns here. But at the same time, this is really stupid. Under this law, clowns would be banned, subject to at least a month in prison and a fine of $500. Again, all at the very least. What? Congratulations, Kevin West. You are a clown that has just introduced a bill to ban yourself. But the other thing that it would affect is Halloween. There goes trick-or-treating. Again, you're dressing up in exaggerated costumes and makeup, and you're around minors in public. The whole thing is so stupid. It is ridiculous. And look, all of this is a ploy to just go after gay and trans people, essentially to fight the culture wars. Now, West also takes the bill further, proposing the approval of legislation banning drag queen story hour events, which he describes as an event hosted by a drag queen who reads children's books and engages in other learning activities with minor children present. Now, notice it's reading books and learning activities. This is not a performance by a drag queen. Doesn't matter, though. They said, it shall be unlawful for a person to organize or authorize the viewing of a drag queen story hour on public property or in a location where the drag queen story hour could be viewed by a person who is a minor. West proposes, even as he writes, that by definition, drag queen story hour events are meant to have children as part of the audience. Any person found violating this ban should be punished with imprisonment for a term not exceeding 1 year, fined between $500 and $1,000 or both. While being found guilty of performing adult cabaret in front of a child would be considered a felony, West suggests that someone found holding or hosting a drag queen story hour in front of a child should be considered guilty of a misdemeanor. Oh, okay. Look, this is but one of the many latest attempts made by Republican state lawmakers to go after drag shows. You actually have people spending significant amount of time on this. You have legislators in Arizona, Idaho, Michigan, Montana, Missouri, Tennessee, and Texas proposing anti-drag queen laws. Ironic, considering how, their newest Republican congressman, George Santos, was a drag queen, went by the name of Kitara. And had also just recently admitted it, saying, I dressed up. I wasn't a drag queen. I just dressed up multiple times in this persona in Brazil. What's the issue? Well, there isn't an issue, or wouldn't be an issue, aside from the vast hypocrisy of your party going after trans people consistently. But of course, right? Look, this is what Republicans are focused on. They don't want to solve problems. They don't want to do legislation that actually, does things to help average people. No, they want to make up issues. They want to make up problems and then propose legislation to solve them. And then, they can declare victory. Look, I stopped the evil drag queens. And while you're distracted with that, clown politicians banning actual clowns inadvertently, they make deep cuts to food stamp programs, Medicaid, public housing, on and on and on. And then, they also try to, cut the amount of taxes the wealthy and corporations pay. So while you're being distracted with this stuff, they're doing things to actively harm you. And also allow their donors, if they're an industry, to pollute more. So to pollute your rivers and streams, land, and of course to buy up more and more public land they can use for, their own ends, whatever those ends may be. Maybe so they can own it and charge you for using it. I don't know. But understand that's what they're really about. This is what Republicans focus on because they don't really have any sort of plan to help you, because the plan was never to help you. It was always to help themselves and their owner donors. Okay. Joe Cloud points out correctly, to be clear, trans and drag are two very separate and different issues. Yes, it is. They are different issues. But again, it's all part of this culture war narrative that is intended also to go after the broader LGBTQIA plus community. So on that, it is, they are something similar. It is a moral panic that is involving all of these groups. And one to try to attack all of them. Okay. Isn't cancel culture terrible? I mean, yes, but for them, it's not if they're doing it. All right. So, let's see. Beth Graham 76, thank you for resubbing for a month at tier 1 on Twitch. Thank you for helping out the show. Let's see. Gabby Mathis says, I hope you report about water shortages in the West and restraints. Yeah, I'll give it a, I'll give it a look and yeah, see what I can find about that. So thank you for doing the suggestion of the story. I'm always interested in, of course, hearing what you guys want me to talk about. So yeah, I will look into that. Thank you, Gabby Mathis. All right. So, wow, that was a pretty quick hour. All right, everybody. Thank you again for going around the nation with me today. Please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. Again, we're done for the day. We'll see you back here tomorrow. We'll do a raid here. On Twitch, James from the internet. As far as everyone else, again, have a great night. We will see you back here tomorrow, same time, same place. Love you all, and remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. See y'all tomorrow.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I have not looked this conversation.
Like sharks in NATO, except with this.
Disappointed! Oh yeah.
This direction is about to keep me.
We have to keep our country gay.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
You idiot.